I hereby call to order the Jefferson County Regional Planning Commission. Having a quorum present, I think that the only one who's not here would be Sue again. So having a quorum, we shall proceed. I would ask the members that had an opportunity to review the minutes from the past meeting. Any change or corrections, please make note. Otherwise, I'm looking for approval.
One correction to the minutes.
Okay.
I think it has chairman that Mr. Morgan made a motion to adjourn, and I was after.
Oh, sorry.
So it'd be hard to do that, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Okay.
That's the only thing I caught.
Please note the change in the minutes. So we would be adopting those minutes with that amendment. So if there's, unless there's anything else, I'm looking for approval.
So moved.
Got a proper motion?
Second.
And second. Any other discussion? Being none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, do we have any citizens input tonight before the Jefferson County Regional Planning Commission? Okay. Being none, we'll proceed to the first item in the new business, which is a site plan review for Lakeside Pines RV Resort, 44 sites at 1645 Highway 2570 East, Danridge, by Darren and Kelly Bennett, and Appalachian Design Services Incorporated, Mr. Jeremy Fields. How you doing?
No problem.
Me and David went up there today, but there's nothing going on yet. So I'll let him explain.
Are you Mr. Fields?
I'm Jeremy Fields, Appalachian Design, here on behalf of
That way, David, can get your name then.
Say that name again, I'm sorry.
Jeremy Fields, Appalachian Design.
Got it.
This is a campground. It would be a daily use campground, not a permanent. 44 spots. The TDEC has approved construction stormwater. It is submitted for a septic permit as well. Water, sewer.
He hasn't permitted yet for the septic?
got it permitted.
No, it's not
Okay.
permitted. It hasn't been
Okay.
submitted.
Applied for it, right?
Yes, correct. It does have a office / camp store. We're paving the first couple hundred feet, and then the rest of it for now would be gravel spaces, gravel roads, with the option to pave that, budget permitted.
Okay. David, have you reviewed this? I think does it not meet our minimum guidelines for a campground as of right now as far as sites and infrastructure? Does it meet those? Or-
This has proposed water with a proposed, what is it, a 2-inch water line through there?
Yes.
And you've got a sanitary sewer plus a force main that'll take it back up to the front where the field lines will be, and that's
Correct.
okay. And I saw where you're going to pave the first 300 feet as required by the site plan requirements for RV parks. Just a couple of questions. I may have overlooked, how big are the sites for the RV parks? I may have just overlooked it.
60 by 30,
Yeah,
I
there's
think.
a detail on C4. that shows the specific lot layout.
Oh, okay, you know what I did, I was looking at the whole thing and I missed that diagram there. Okay, where's, is there a fire hydrant?
I don't think we have one.
I didn't see one within the development, I was wondering if there was one at the entrance that would be able to maybe cover that.
If not, we should be able to add one at the entrance. You know, we're not proposing any 6 or 8 inch line inside the development, so.
Right,
But, you know, that it probably shouldn't be hard to add. One at the entrance.
Typically, they want one every 500 feet, right?
So everything's within 500 feet.
Okay. Would that be within 500 feet, the sites at the entrance?
No, no,
Okay.
it wouldn't cover every spot, no.
Okay,
I wouldn't cover the rear.
okay. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I was thinking that when we looked at that last one, that one of the things that we stipulated in there was is that they added fire hydrants up there to ensure that everything was within 500 feet.
Right.
Okay. So would that not be something that would need to be pertinent for this
That
one?
would be, you're right.
We've addressed this issue on other campgrounds, and I know what you're trying to do is keep the size of your water line down as you get in there, but it really does need to be probably a 6-inch line to another fire hydrant to cover 500 feet there.
If, and maybe you can answer this, if we had the fire hydrant, if we had a 6-inch line and a fire hydrant, is it okay to have, you know, that dead line, that 6-inch line running down into the campground? Or do we
I
need
would
to supply
think so. In
domestic
other words,
property?
what you're saying is that it's sort of just like a dedicated fire line,
Yeah.
correct? Then you would go off the other 2-inch.
Yeah.
I think that would work. I don't see why that would be an issue. Matter of fact, it'd probably be helpful to keep the pressure up for the fire hydrant down there.
So what it says about fire protection in the RV park,
Okay,
it says where available, a minimum 6-inch water line and fire hydrant shall be installed along drive so that all buildings and RVs are within 500 feet of a hydrant. And we recognize that you don't have a 6-inch water line throughout the park that's available, but there should be one, and I don't know for sure what the size of the one that runs along 2570 is, but I would imagine it's
either an 8 or a 6. I
yeah,
think.
it's certainly suitable, I'm sure, for a fire hydrant.
Okay. Yeah, so basically,
So it is available, is what I'm saying.
typically like a fire hydrant at the entrance, and then they'll need one there to cover the 500 feet either way. That's where they go. So you're looking at 2 hydrants.
Yep.
And if you want to put it on a dedicated line, I don't foresee that being an issue. Matter of fact, it may be a plus.
Yeah, I know these things are expensive, but I think we all agree when we wrote the regulation that they're important for the public safety and everything like that. What about drainage on this site?
Everything drains to the lake. It slopes from, you're looking at the plan left to right, and everything goes to the lake.
Okay.
There are a couple of existing kind of drainage ditches on the site, and we're utilizing those and maybe relocating a little bit, pushing it just a little bit out of the way, but we are draining to all the ditches and then it goes to the lake.
Okay.
It's showing that there's a pond on the property. Is that to stay?
Where's the pond?
Yeah, it's showing a pond right here. I'm just curious if that was, I mean, it's,
No, it isn't.
okay.
No.
I didn't know if that had been part of your drainage or not. I guess my question is, I have sort of looked at what you're trying to do here for your waste disposal, and it looks like you're going to let everything gravity gravity flow down to a pump tank,
Yep.
pump back up to your septic tanks, and then over to your leach lines, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And I look here that you had the soil map, 60-minute soils, did you see that?
Yeah, we got a soil map on it. The only issue I have on it, which is something we can work out, that's, it's no big issue. It's just the tank size. We've got one down here for a pump tank, pumping all the way back up,
Yes,
which we can't have a pump tank as a septic tank. It'll have to be two separate tanks down there.
okay,
It'll have to be a solid and then a pump tank.
I got
So
you.
that's just, working that out.
Okay,
But everything else seems to be in order, except, just sizing the tanks properly and doing this where he's got the sanitary tank coming in, 3,000 gallon pump tank.
yes,
There'll need to be a septic tank down there.
okay,
And he can eliminate one of the tanks up here.
Yeah.
okay, I got you. Quick question, Tom, on these with those pump tanks, as far as that goes, so on your pump, if the power goes out, you're just sort of in limbo, right? All right, okay,
Most people have some kind of, in something like this, I could refer kind of to Chad, or generator, something on site.
okay, in case they have to go down.
Yeah, he got one area, everything mainly gravity except one section down there.
Okay,
Yeah, he's got generators, whatever, in case something happens right there, current goes off, he can use generator.
okay.
I was gonna keep these looking the same deal.
Okay. Showing here that David, he's got, I think, dumpster pad, which is one of our requirements to handle refuse and questions? I don't mean to do all the talking, I just looked at it and stuff.
Is that, the road on the end, Mr. David, is it above a cut line on the, it looks like it runs past the 1002. Is that the line for the lake? On the far end out
It's,
there?
about 10:05,
1005.
on the bottom of the spectrum.
All right. Well, it swings out there.
Yeah, okay, it looks like it's about the 10:05.
Yeah.
We don't have any campsites there, do we?
From C3.
No, but if that's encroaching,
Well, they'd have to get a permit through the area.
I think right now, John, on that, I think in some cases that TVA is doing some of these properties over here, wildfire. I think they're allowing as long as the floor of a house or something like that above the 1004. In some of these instances, in his pad, I'd say, but now he'd probably have to get a permit from the TVA, to build up, be high enough that.
I mean, it just looked awful close there.
How wide is that driveway proposed? I didn't scale it out, but, if you know,
It's 30 feet.
okay, is that whole part gonna be the driveway, or is that just the area?
It's
It's sort of like a right-of-way that the driveway will be in, you
No,
know?
it's the driveway.
Okay.
It's full width gravel. at the
Okay,
moment.
okay. Once you get past the asphalt part.
Correct.
Gravel, okay. Just give me another second, Chairman. Chairman, it looks like each side has the required one parking place along with the suitable area for the RV. Because we know a lot of people bring a vehicle with them if they come and go in, so that, we've got a parking area for, visitors and office with showers and restrooms. Do you know if there's gonna be do you know if there's gonna be somebody there 24/7, or you may not know the operation of it,
No,
but?
I do not know that.
Okay. As long as we have, the tenants would have access to one, that's the requirement. So it's gonna be landscaped all the way around. They've got detail on that. Those Leland cypresses, Leland, whatever how they pronounce them. Anyway, Chairman, I don't have a problem with the site plan. I'll recommend for approval if you all feel comfortable with it.
Subject to the two fire hydrants, 6-inch line with 500 feet, and them obtaining the septic permit, correct? And adding the tank at the beside the pump tank, the septic tank beside the pump.
Yes, Tom mentioned yes.
Okay.
We're gonna move the septic tank down from the top to the
Oh,
bottom.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Any questions? Concerns? Okay. Being none, I'm looking for approval with the things here that we discussed that we feel like we need to add to the project. You got a proper motion? And a second. Okay, proper motion second. Any other discussion before we vote? And your motion would be to accept adding the two fire hydrants for the 6-inch line within 500 feet. So one's road and another one 500 feet, cover the units, septic permit, and moving the septic tank down, correct? Yes. Okay, so that is the motion, and there's a second on there. So if there's no other discussion, we'll go for a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you, sir.
Take these copies to, I got one I need.
Okay.
Unless you want to keep them. You don't want Marvin?
Here, Tim. I got one more.
Thank you.
Are you ready, Dave?
Yes, sir.
All right, the next item is the site plan review for Douglas Lake Glamping at 1558 Ponderosa Drive, Danville, by Michael Grasso and Nilsa Martinez.
Montagnais, you were close.
Do you have big copies of that, Mike?
I do,
Okay.
yes, sir.
We sent out in your packet a smaller, but it's got bigger copies of it. Give you the minute.
You should be 5 or 6 there. And then just to recap from the old ones, these are kind of a storyboard. I know this concept is something new to the area. So if you have any doubts, those are for you to keep look over. It covers everything from A to B. Outside of the parking area, which I was working with you today on, I can have that layout, dimensions, and how it'll be laid out exactly by the end of next week. So we can move forward. I'll make sure you get a copy of it.
Thank you.
You may notice there in that site plan, if you have one in your hand, that we have a stage 1 and a stage 2. Each one of those stages will represent 6 units. Units representing tents, which will be done by tent masters out of Knoxville. If you've never seen them, can you let me? They're a local company here. They used to be down on, might want to pass that around. Just kind of give you an idea of what those look like in comparison to the Urites. They're fully furnished, raised deck construction. Nothing on the Urites or the tents will be done in concrete platforms. They'll all be done on post and beam. Those post and beam will come up to decks. Those decks will be proper size to fit each Urite or tent depending on their size, and I don't think that we plan on going any bigger than 30s in circumference on the Urites. And then there'll be at least enough room in the front for a full deck for each campsite. So minimal impact to the environment, so something different. The idea is that we keep as many trees on the property as possible. Each unit, tent or Urite, will be totally self-sufficient. They'll harvest their own rain. I do have 3 wells on the property, all fully functional. We will be using those in the case that we have a lack of rain in the area, but each unit will capture its own water. And under the decks, we will have capture systems that will hold and circulate and filtrate that water back up into the unit. Everything outside the tent or the Urite will be a camping experience, back into nature. But everything inside will be just that. The poor man sure the word, glamping. Everything that you would have, the amenity of home, okay? So kitchen, bathrooms, living rooms, electric fireplaces. We will have no live wood burning on the property. It will all be propane based. The ornamental fires will be propane. The fire pits, propane. Electric heating stoves inside the ornamental fireplaces, but electric. Those electrics will run off of solar systems. Each unit, tent or Urite, will have an 8 to 12 kilowatt Tesla wall, which will be built underneath and have their own solar panels to generate power from the day, stored in the battery. During the day, they'll be producing enough solar energy that anything that's in the unit, whether it be LED lights, whether it be a hot water heater, whether it be whatever, TV, will be generated from the power. The surplus production will be stored in the batteries and then reused at night when there's no sun. Now we have thought about in the future that we might go to some of the newer technology like magnetic windmills. They wouldn't be very large ones. They'd be 4 to 6 kilowatt producers, all magnetic, and each unit would have one running up off of its deck. So if we receive wind up off of the lake, it would just be surplus for the days that maybe we have elongated windows of clouds, etc. The idea is to get these people down into Douglas Lake, get them around the woods. The property will be set up with walkways to get in and out. The parking area will have a UTV, utility vehicle, come up into the top parking, and then we'll be greeting them. This is more of a mom and pop mentality. 12 units over 6 years. It's not very big, over a 5-acre stretch. We'll bring them down to their campsites where they'll park topside. Those UTVs, utility vehicles, will be all electric. They'll be plugged into solar systems. The idea here is that we're not promoting an ecotouristic product that fringes ecotourism. We're promoting an ecotourism product that will actually produce its own power and not pull from the grid. The idea is to have as much off-grid as possible. Okay. I was talking with Tom. He was out on the property about gray water. Some of the new concepts that we're looking at today are systems that will be built into raised gardens. My image here is, and I already started to build one of the raised gardens. There'll be a garden for each campsite. The idea is that people would be able to come during the spring, summer, and fall, and they would be able to pick an apple, or they would be able to pick herbs from the garden. And to the left of each one will be a small 8 by 10 greenhouse. Idea here is that we have a winter, and that winter we want to be able to still have clients up through probably December to go into that greenhouse and pick their herbs to cook with. Or maybe they have children that have never got their hands in the dirt before. Maybe they've never been outside. Maybe they've never been in the woods. And we want them to get in there. So we'll have a main greenhouse where we grow seedlings, we grow replants, and then we'll be able to take those children, we'll be able to get them in there, we'll be able to get them in the dirt, help them plant something, see where they can pick it, grow it, and eat it all in the same stroke, okay? That garden will produce something extra. The digester that I showed to Tom that he's got, and you can flip through there, you'll find in the back waste management in that storyboard. You'll also notice there that you'll see the digester there. You just go a couple more pages past that. It's a large black tank that will be seeded with cow manure or horse manure in the beginning. And as it's seeded, that manure will be used to take all of the food waste that's produced in each unit. And instead of it going into a holding space to go to a landfill, it will be right into the digester. The digester has a large coupler in the top. You just pour it straight in, and then the microbes go to work on the inside of that digester, breaking down the food waste. So imagine that. Imagine what you eat every night that you throw in the trash can. Or maybe you already have a compost, but that compost is out. This digester will be built into the greenhouse. Okay? It's part of the greenhouse. It's part of the development of that product right next to the raised gardens. Food goes in, it breaks down, it captures gas in the top half. That's methane. That methane will be then recycled and used as an ornamental fire pit or 2 hours of cooking gas that comes from the wasted food. Okay, so it does describe that there in the digester. That was the next page over. Yes, sir. A lot of pages there, huh? A lot to learn.
Good information.
This one here.
Okay.
So this one also works with the toiletries. I don't think that I like that concept. It has some gray area for me. I won't be using it for that. I will be using, as you can see there, a composting toilet system with a rotational bin. These are residential models, so they can go anywhere from 3 to 5 weeks without ever removing the bin. Now obviously you're adding your peat or whatever you might be using into the bin, but it's automatic. As you use it, it goes into automatic, rolls the bin. When it gets into the finished tray, at the end of the roll, it's pull it out, it's clean, and guess where it's going? 3 raised flower beds for each unit, or into the flower beds and plant boxes that will be inside the greenhouses. The idea is to complete a full ecosystem cycle. Whatever waste we produce, we try and produce it minimal, and what we do produce, we put into a recycle system that comes to a finished product and ends up clean back into the gardens and is being used as ecotouristic or biofertilizer. Okay? So these are new concepts. I know they're gray areas for all of us, including me, and I'm 25 years doing ecotourism in Puerto Rico, now bringing it here to this beautiful place in Tennessee. These areas are new, but they're fully functional. They're reviews by the thousands of people that are already using this biogas digester all across the globe. In some of the poorest places on the planet and some of the richest places on the planet, it's a functional system. I'm planning to bring one in just to get it up on the ground and see how it works. But I believe that that will utilize most of my gray water going into that, so showers, sinks, etc. And then that biodigester will break it down into a fertilizer. Well, then it will be moved into the gardens and worked down through a rock, sand, and filtration system below the gardens. Okay. Now Tom's working with me on that. Tom, you have anything you want to throw in there just to catch that one up?
No,
Okay.
the thing we're concerned about is state regulation as far as gray water goes. This compost toilets and everything like that is state approved. But if you have running water in any kind of facility, building or room or anything, then they require that you have a leach field to take care of the gray water. But the systems he's got, I'm talking to the state to see if they're going to allow this. If not, we're looking at going some areas and getting soils to take care of the gray water, where you're not going to have any sites.
Okay. So that's the backup.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, everything he's wanting to use, if there's some catch in it, you know, from the state or whatever, then we're gonna have an alternative to go ahead and just do for the gray water, and I'll just go ahead and put it in leach field on the property. It's like a regular system. There won't be any E. coli going into it or whatever. It'll just be, you know, the gray water.
The digester that we'll be using, sir, is not, there'll be no heavy waste or hard waste, or, it will be food material that we're looking to eliminate from the system and then turn it into a recycled. So my thought would be that we can run our gray water through the digester with that and then have it produce out into the gardens, and then whatever doesn't get used by the gardens then will work down through the leach field, as Tom has suggested, if the state doesn't agree with what we currently have proposed there. As far as safety is concerned, every unit will have med kits, fire extinguishers accordingly. I know this isn't a normal campground program. It's something very, very different. It's probably one of the first of its kind in the area. I do know that they have tents and yurts up in Gatlinburg and in a couple of other locations, so close by. They're not ecotouristic minded. Let's put it that way. So they fall under what your normal campground is. I will be building a bathhouse where I already have on the property a 1,000-gallon concrete septic system in play in the ground. It's already there and functional. And that bathhouse will have 2 stalls for ladies and 2 stalls for men, and it will have exterior showers during the spring and summer where they can rinse off outside. Just say they come up from the lake, they're dirty, and they'll have showers in each of the male and female stalls, even though each of the units, tent or yurts, have their own bathrooms, just to meet campground status so that we don't get out of, it'll probably be something 20 by 20, again on a post and beam, stick frame type design, something that will fit the decor of the area. So that will be there. Okay, that you can see in the site plan, if you look there, that you can see the areas where the septics are laid out. Each of the yurts and tents are numbered out 1 through 12, with 12 being the last to be built and 1 and 2 being the first 2. The front 3 years we'd be looking to achieve 6 and see how those 6 get occupied. If we have good occupation with it, then the next 3 years we would go ahead and move on with a second sector or 6 more units. They did pin those so there are ample space. We're not looking to have it crowded. We want everybody to come there and be able to stretch out and have their campfire and sit out in the woods or wake up to their coffee looking out over Douglas Lake. We're not looking for something that's going to be one space after the other, after the other, after the other. Okay? We want people to come and have a good experience in nature and see that they can do it in a way that's environmentally minded. So, you gentlemen have any questions for me that I could probably rattle on with you for all night?
Okay, for
I
that.
think you want, that intriguing, I thought, was the bamboo
Yes.
paper.
Okay, well, I will be eliminating all tree developed paper. There's new products today that are completely bamboo. That includes toilet paper, that includes paper towels. Any paper products that you can imagine today, I have a manufacturer that produces it from bamboo, which is the fastest growing species of grass on the planet. And believe it or not, in Puerto Rico, I have a species of Asian bamboo that grows 16 to 22 inches in 24 hours under the right conditions. So imagine the renewable resources you could have from something like that. If I cropped 40 acres of pines and replanted them, I wouldn't be able to revisit that for another 40 years. So we will be taking that completely out of the loop, where we'll no longer be using paper from trees, hoping to keep those trees standing where they belong. So that's a good one. Totally recyclable.
So 12 units is the most you're
That would be my
expecting?
max, and that's what's proposed there in that site plan, 12.
Okay, I guess there's my question is that part of these are dashed lines and part of them are solid. So does that mean we're doing this in phases?
Yes,
That
sir.
we're gonna do the T6, T1, T2, Y5, Y4, Y3. That's your first phase then. And then basically I assume, would he have to come back for that, or is that for phase 2, or would it just be ready to go?
Well, I thought he would, you'd prove it all, you know, if you prove it.
I put it in
You
the
wouldn't
site
have to come
plan,
back.
sir, with that intent to approve it for all 12, but we can do it in 2 phases.
Okay, I guess here's my question. Because basically, if this, one of the things that we're looking at is that we would have, either the state's gonna have to approve his waste system the way he's proposing it here.
Gray water.
For gray water, or we're gonna have to go to an alternate system, which means then that basically he's gotta have enough good soils in there to do that, correct?
Right.
So anything that we look at tonight and approve would be based upon, that would be his fallback system
Right.
for the septic, correct?
Yes, sir.
I have one question. I mean, I know this, I see this here, and basically, so the waste comes in, who cranks it?
Are we on the
On
actual,
the
it's
compost?
automatic.
It's automatic.
And there's multiple systems today that actually, the minute you sit down on it, separate the urine for you, your water segment, and it goes into an evaporation bin, and then it's heated and evaporates out through a stovepipe that goes out through the top of the uric, out the back wall, and then the remainder of the waste is cycled on an every 6-hour window. It will cycle. Some of the units are even when you sit down, they're automated to the point that the minute you sit down and finish, the minute it goes into the bin cycles.
Okay.
So there are manual ones out there that are really good, and I may choose to go manual just to get people in the mentality that, remember that when we promote this product on a website, you're promoting it for what it is. You're not going to be in a 5-star hotel, although you may feel like it, but you may be doing some things that are out of the norm, and that's the whole idea. That's where the teaching comes in. That's where we can show people that it's not that difficult to crank a handle to get to where you want to go. You're not going to smell it. You're not going to deal with it. You're just going to crank the handle. If it's automatic, sometimes you lose the line of sight as to what we're trying to achieve. We want them to come and have a great time, but we also want them to realize that there's alternative routes to deal with your waste and ways to turn it back into the earth in a clean, environmental way that will be good for the gardens, will be good for the trees, compostable. So it's the unit I'm looking at that you've got there in front of you, sir, is automatic.
Okay.
And it does separate urine, and it does put that into an evaporation bin so that all water waste would be evaporated away on those units.
Can you not put in one of those composters? I mean,
I can.
can you put chicken bones in?
Oh, you're talking the digester?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. You can put any meat, plant, anything you'd have off your normal scraps off your table.
Organic, right?
Organic.
stuff.
It goes inside and Mother Nature does the rest. And the cool thing for me about it is it not just digesting all your food waste, but it's taking and producing a gas that I can repurpose now. So I'm taking my waste, I'm turning it into fertilizer, I'm cycling it, a full ecosystem cycle. It's going back into the ground clean, it's producing plants that are producing food, and on top of it all, I can turn around and I can take that methane that those bioorganisms are producing, and I can start a fire with it, I can cook with it. I can do something very cool with that. So it's a very cool cycle.
As opposed to adding to the greenhouse gas problem.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Just a notation.
I know this is all kind of, off the normal routine. The idea here is that we're not getting away from oil and gas, but we can meet a medium here. We don't have to be fully dependent. There's steps around it. There's going to be places in there where I'm going to be probably having to use propane, or I'm going to be having to use fuel for a backup generator system, just in case the solar and the wind doesn't work the way it should. But the idea is just to step out of the comfort zone and try something new and work your way through it. And the technology today is immense. It's right there in front of us, and it's available right at your fingertips. Most of it right off of Amazon. So, there, pretty cool stuff.
Chairman, Tim and I went out there and met with him earlier today, and we got to talking about the site plan. This is listed as a preliminary site plan, but what I told him earlier was that, in my opinion, he didn't have enough detail on some of the items in order to give it a full approval tonight. For example, the parking. It doesn't really show good ingress, egress, to the specifications that we require. One thing I learned today, though, is you see the driveway going down and making a loop. That will very rarely be used by automobiles. Am I correct on that? Because what you'll do is you'll take them down to the sites from the parking lot yourself.
Yes, sir. We'll have a UTV there that'll be an electric unit, and when the clients come in, they'll book online. We'll know when they're arriving, and that UTV will greet them in the parking lot, and then it will drive down to the campsites, and it has a utility bed in the back that will be ample space to carry whatever they're bringing with them from the vehicles. The idea is to have the place where there's plenty of trails through the property for people to venture out and walk from one place to the other. Idea is to kind of get the cars all up in one spot. Several of these on the circle, you can see that the property already had parking areas. 2 of them are there. Camp 1, T1 and T2, those are Tent 1 and Tent 2. Should be the first 2 units we build. They already have their parking facilities right there. So when they come into the circle, they can stop at the campground office, which you can see is in the top right corner there, the very bottom end of the circle. That used to be an old key shop. It's being restorated to become the campground office. They'll check in there, and then they can go right to their parking spots right in front of T1 and T2. I will be doing some other parking spaces to the front left of the campground office, just for people that might pull in long enough to check in and then go back up to the top and pull into the main parking lot. My idea here would be that the circle would be just for the people in T1, T2, and eventually Y12. Y12 would be the only yurt there in close to the circle. You'll see it's to the front left of the circle there. Yeah. T12.
One thing I was getting ready to say was there would be very little, if any, automobile traffic going into the circle. He wanted to use that basically to transport people by his vehicle, and the parking would be up here. So he's showing that as less than wide enough for 2 vehicles to pass. And I thought that would be okay if he truly does use it as described.
Well, the mentality here again, even if we get to the 12, in the front 6, is small, focused on, really service-minded. My business is in Puerto Rico, 25 years in the kayaks and the rainforest day and night. They're smaller groups, they're better guide-to-guest ratio than any other industry player that does it. I'm bringing that same concept here. I want to have it individual. I meet you, I greet you, I bring you down, I show you your site, I work with you the whole time you're there. Any problems you run into, I'm the guy there to get it fixed. So it's very, very me, you type mentality. So
The only thing, the only question I have about that, David, is that, and you went out there today and you went down it. What about emergency vehicle access?
That was what I was gonna ask.
the inside of the circle is just about 9 feet. And that's the inside of the circle here. You're coming down this road here and you hit this segment through here. It's just about 9 feet. This inside cut is, I'll be digging back and do a retainer. I'm going to be coming back about 3 feet there. So on this segment from here to here, which would be the tightest area for any large vehicle like a fire truck or an ambulance that might have to make a tight corner, I bring a 3500 Dodge Ram down through there. So she's a wide dually body, and it makes it through there. But I do plan to bring that back 3 feet. That puts me over 10, almost 11 feet on the inside of the circle. More than enough room for any emergency vehicle to make that corner. So, the rest of it's pretty much straight shot.
What about your other stuff out here? How do you get the ambulance up there?
Where are you pointing on? Where are you looking at?
On actual,
T8, T9,
the tent
Y10.
sites, if you had, can emergency vehicles?
There's a road there, sir, and it will be gravel in the beginning. It may eventually become asphalt. I'd really like to stay away from that if all possible. All along Y3, Y4, Y5, T6, T7, T8, T9, and Y10. There's a road that runs off from here well, actually, it goes behind, if you see number 4 on that map, number 4 in the box, that's the campground office. There's a road that runs directly behind that, and it runs right between Y3, Y4, Y5, and T6, and then splits off and runs all along between T6, T7, T8. There's a road all the way around, and then it comes back up and ends up on Ponderosa.
So you just don't have that shown on this map?
No, sir, it's not there. But it is there. It's not on the map, but it is there. My plan for that was to be a very large gravel walkway. It's about 9.5, maybe 10 feet wide, level cut. It looks like at one time it was a fire cut there.
Well, this is just a preliminary, so we can make exception on the final. It being put on there. So it's just a preliminary. What we're looking at.
Chairman, when we talked today, I told them that I felt like in certain areas we needed more detail.
Yes.
The parking, for example, it doesn't show the ingress, egress there or anything really. Now, I saw what you were proposing when I went to the site, but it doesn't show on the site plan. And some other details I think need to be shown in order before we could really truly approve it. I'll give it a full approval, but I did tell them I thought we could, if the planning commission saw fit, that they could give a tentative approval or a preliminary approval on this so we could feel comfortable moving forward.
Okay.
And provide, that.
Based on the concept that he's looking at.
Yeah, he still have to meet all the requirements. It doesn't give him a blank slate to do whatever he wants, but.
No, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, we talked about that.
I think the parking lot area, I can have that for you within the week. Croy's already, I spoke with him this afternoon after you left. He's available.
Okay.
That's D3 Surveying, who's taking care of my work. Can come back out and we can lay what you need in more detail. Sir, your concern is the road between the campground office and, what is that there? Y3, 4, 5, and then T6, T8, and T10. I can have him draft that up for you with dimensions so that you know exact the size. Is there going to be a problem with that being gravel? Remember, the idea is to get people off the grid here.
It just has to be wide enough for emergency vehicles, and it can't have over so much grade.
Yeah.
Okay,
There's a requirement in our campground things that says that here's the specification. If you do that emergency vehicle has got to be able to go in there, fire truck, ambulance,
okay.
whatever.
And is there a distance?
They got to be able to get to they got to be able to get to
the actual site. Okay.
They gotta be able to roll up where they can take that out. Somebody has a heart attack in there.
Sure.
They gotta be able to bring them out.
I think that coming in from the circle, this is gonna be too tight of a turn here, but this road actually runs out and comes back up right here on the Ponderosa. So we could have that emergency vehicle be able to come in from this side and access all of these units from T10 to T6, or I'm sorry, Y10 to T6, and then have full access here to any of these units, Y3 to Y5. Those roads are already there. So, but we have access, and I'll just have him draft out the entrance from Ponderosa into the other units for you on the next one. That's not a problem. It's there, it just needs to be gravelled out.
So we've got, that's one thing that we need to be able to see for a final site plan.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing would be is that, will we know, have any idea on the time frame as to when the state is going to let him know on the other?
I've heard of the next week or so, probably.
Okay, so once he knows that, then basically that will be the final, that will be able to finalize for you then what type of system he's going to have. So we're taking care of that, and I think too, I guess one of the things is if, and correct me if I'm wrong, does he have to have underground electric? Is that part of our, because he's already got existing overhead, so that was my question. I guess, well, basically what you're telling me is that they're gonna generate their own electricity for
Each unit will have its own solar and backup battery system.
So you really don't have, you're not having anything off the grid, so it doesn't really matter if he has underground, because he.
I mean, I do have Appalachian Electric power there already. I mean, if we had to splinter off of it, maybe for the
So he can't, yeah.
bathhouse and stuff like that, it's right there. It's just already done. My goal is to try and have each unit totally self-sufficient,
Okay,
off the grid.
all right.
And I told him today, you can always put him back on in February,
Right,
if, you know, if he gets his survey.
That, to me, that sounds like within 4 weeks that he's getting half what we want to see.
absolutely, I think so.
Yeah, I think we can have it sooner than that. But if 4 weeks works, that's great.
Well, that's
That's the next meeting?
Tim and I'll be glad to meet, to get with him and make sure he has all the things we require.
So you think tonight we look for approval for preliminary based on the items here that we want to see on the next map, correct?
Right, and that, with an understanding that we need to see those items before we can go, you know, with the full approval.
Is everybody comfortable with that? Okay.
Just gives him direction and to go forward.
Yes, sir.
Any questions?
I like this concept.
Thank you, sir.
I stayed in the campground in Asheville, well, not in city limits, I forget the name of the town, just a little bit out of Asheville, and they had, I think, 6 of these yurts.
Yurts? Mm-hmm.
And the manager actually took me down, and you know, they were old, but I was impressed. I mean, I've never seen that. That's neat.
You know, I was really surprised to find out that the U.S. government uses yurts in Antarctica, in the South Pole, the North Pole, in some of the most extreme climates in the world, where winds can be over 150 miles an hour, and these yurts stand fast. They can be in negative 50-degree weather, and you're fine. They're really durable structures. They're compression ring structures. There's something really cool. I mean, it's a really neat concept.
Well, it was in the middle of, at the middle of December a couple of years ago, or last year, and it was like 24 degrees and the wind was blowing on top of that mountain, and it was just like being in your house inside that thing.
I'm gonna get it all done, and I'm gonna give all of you the opportunity to come out and hang out with me and try something different.
Okay.
How long is the canvas, is it canvas that they
Yes,
use?
sir.
How long does that last?
Most of the ones that we see today are anywhere from 5 to 6 years. That's what the manufacturer backs up. It's going to depend on canopy. Obviously, the amount of leaf litter that you accumulate down onto the structure is going to degrade it. How much sun exposure it's going to get would make another difference as to how quickly it starts to degrade. But when you're ready to change those skins, they're not as expensive as you might think. You're probably looking at about $1,500 to $2,000, depending on the size of the unit. And you're probably looking at about a week downtime to strip that off, depending on how many windows and doors you have in the yurt, and reskin it and put it back to work. Any other questions, guys?
Are we good? I got a motion to approve here with the following items, which is showing the existing roadway that's there to the other units, and also based upon from the state if they approve your composted and waste system from that standpoint. If not, then go into the alternate plan. Is that good? We cover everything there? So I got a proper motion and a second. Any other
Who made the
discussion?
second?
I made a second.
Okay. Who made the first?
John did.
Okay.
So I got a motion and a second on the table, and this is, like I say, it's preliminary. So any discussion before we vote? All those in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed? Thanks, sir.
You want to take those copies back? I got them.
If you gentlemen would like to read up on it a little bit more, the storyboards.
Copies of the site plan
hang
you
on
can take
to.
back if you need it.
Yeah,
Appreciate that.
sure, no. That's what I made them for, so you get a little bit more acquainted with it.
You need this back?
Yes, sir, please.
This is back or not?
I'm gonna pass these out. This is our other business already open. If you guys would like to go and see the Smokies through the eyes of myself and my son, we're happy to get you and your families out there and show you a good time. We are CUA certified. That's commercial use authorization at the Smoky Mountains. Thank you. And
Thank you.
Tom, Tim,
Thank you.
thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time today.
Leave it already.
Yes, sir.
Okay. The next item is a final plat review for Sherburne Oaks, 32 lots off Nance Road by Ironwood Cabins LLC.
Sure.
Dale Carr.
Here. Oh, I give you
Thank you for your patience.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Hey, we're up. Hang on just a minute. I'm gonna just let you,
Here's the sign one, David.
Oh, good.
I looked this earlier today, looks like all the sites meet the minimum lot size requirements. Matter of fact, they're over, the majority are over.
Take care.
Are these roads already built and in place?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Fire hydrants in, water lines in.
Okay.
We were down there today, midday.
The certificate for the, street names has not yet been signed.
Except for 911.
Yeah, I'm sure they're fine, but, especially if you name Maggie way after his late dog Maggie. And electric lines, otherwise, we've got, the help with department approval, did I see that here, Tom?
Yeah, you signed.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Ownership and dedication. Streets by Charlie Tipton, that's critical. And, just a couple of signatures, street names and electric lines, and, those are the only two I don't see on here, so
Co-op usually signs that afterwards, don't they?
Sometimes they'll put on there that affidavit saying that they've looked at the concept and everything else, but a lot of times I guess, isn't that right, Brian?
Pardon me, I was reading.
For Appalachian there, a lot of times they'll put a stipulation in there that they'll start the lines through the development as far as that goes after the roads are built, or it's not, I mean, they probably looked at the plan and they've approved what's going in there, but they won't actually state that it's already in there, because it's not probably correct.
To my knowledge, correct.
Yeah. So,
Has Dale talked to 911? You talked to 911 about the
all the
road?
power poles are already in.
have you talked to 911 about the roads?
Yes, I have. The Maggie Way road will stay, and all the other road names have been approved. And if we just need those two signatures, if the commission will allow it, I can get it subject to it. I'll get the AEC to sign off on it and 911, because we went over all the roads, and then the other two roads sorted to meet with the Sherman Oaks. The lady had already given us Maggie Way when we built those three houses down through there. That means that road stays
That's
in
right.
Maggie Way. The other two will be, I forget, P&O or whatever.
Okay. It's if she's looked at it, just give her a signature on it.
The critical, as far as I'm concerned, is the critical certificates have been signed, health department and roads. Those are the most critical of the
They have
certificates.
those, right?
Yeah.
And the other ones are just apparently pending signature. Tim and I were out there, everything looked good, didn't it, Tim? I don't have any problem recommending for approval of the plat, final plat, subject to those two certificates being signed.
And I'll get that just as soon as I can. Probably we'll have it by Friday, if that's okay.
Soon as there's, if the planning commission approves it, subject to those conditions, soon as you can get the plats to Tim Seals at the zoning office, they can be handled, signed, and you can have them recorded.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Okay. Everybody comfortable with that? Floor's open.
So moved.
I got a proper motion. Got a second. Got a motion, I have a second.
Second.
And second. Any other discussion? Not, all those in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. So, as long, when you get those signatures, you bring them one in.
Yeah, so you just
We'll
bring
get
it
it.
to me.
Okay.
And you can have someone else sign off over, you can order it then.
Are we getting that other one?
Down at the old
No.
board
I'm here, let me give you this.
Board ass.
David.
Awesome, good.
He's got several signatures on it. You'll want that back
Yes.
to add more to it.
Give her them too,
Okay.
Rick.
I'm getting it. He's bringing it.
Keep them separated from yours.
This is the one I need to get the signature.
Yeah, make sure you keep that one signed and bring it here.
I guess. These have signatures too, right?
Paper, what the paper we use.
I'll check.
You want to roll that one into this one?
Yes, I'll check.
See it down in Man,
You know what to say.
We use a lot of things, let me say a lot. Let me say a lot.
Want these two do all hand them like that?
As I told my wife.
I'll recommend. I'll make sure I keep that.
I told you.
Up here, how much we got, so I never lose. During all that price.
There's another side one, ma'am, you'll want to.
No, that's what you're fixing to look at, Dave. Dave,
Oh, that's
that's
what
what
you're
you're
looking
looking
at.
at.
Oh, I'm sorry, this is the new one.
Yes.
I got you. You know what I was thinking, don't you?
Yeah, that's two, Rick.
That John Wayne.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. We got, okay.
One Brian, you on sheriff.
No, this is the,
Oh, is
it is.
it Coyle Road?
This is the, yeah, it is. Oh, is this your?
That one's too.
Well, pardon me.
That's good. Hey,
Now, this
you
is
should
not,
have seen me getting this one.
I don't know if you already announced it. This is
No,
not
I'm not.
94, it's only 27.
Okay, I'm fixing.
The
to-
preliminary was 94.
I'm just waiting on David to tell
Phase
me to
one.
go.
Okay. You bet darn.
Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, next item is the final plat review for 27 lots off Core Road at Jefferson City, resub of lots 12, 13, and lots 15 through 26 of the Dewland Coal property by Darrell King and Dale Carr. Okay, so if you remember, this was one in there that came before us, a couple of months ago.
Yes, sir.
And I think it was for 94 lots, but they're just going, looks like they're doing it in phases, so they're coming in to ask for 27 lots approved for final. So basically what you've done is that you've used your existing road frontage to just basically cut these lots off, so there would be, as of right now, it looks like there's no road frontage, no new road that has to be built.
That'd be the second phase.
So that's what you're approving, is that, so actually here, there, you have no, just existing road frontage, no new roads have been built. And so basically you probably, let's see. part of this, I think, if we discussed this before and I remember correctly, did they not have to run some new water line? Was it from down up or not? Do you remember?
Did you have to run some new water line or anything?
So it's only showing existing 4. For some reason, I thought we're gonna need a 6.
I don't remember, sir.
That's what I was thinking.
That's what we talked about.
Right here, it's a proposed 8-inch water line from East Dumpling Valley Road. Okay, wait, maybe it's here, maybe I'm just missing it. Okay. But I don't know where the 8-inch runs in, then it goes in here, existing 4-inch.
You need her to go get the bills?
Wait, I see, look right.
Where does it switch at?
I can't tell. So it says it's proposed, but you don't know if it's been constructed as long as that.
I checked the minutes, for fire hydrants, but I didn't check what it said about water lines. She'll go run and get them right quick.
Well, it's got an 8-inch water line leaving Dumpling Valley.
I'd say that's right.
And it goes up there, but it don't ever say where it next down to 4. Because it's on up here, it says 4. It says an existing 4-inch water line. Is that where it starts or what?
Do you know where it is, Dale?
No, I don't. I just had Eddie put that on there. I don't know exactly.
We'll see what it said in the minutes before.
Comes in there.
See right there?
Well, the reason I was saying is, I'm pretty sure we were subject to that coming in there and do water line for the fire hydrants. He run a fire hydrant off the
But
porch.
there's no fire hydrants in the minutes. From last, when you passed the limit.
There was no fire hydrants on the flag.
You didn't require no fire hydrants. In the minutes.
Why didn't?
I
Well,
don't, I can't,
Just tell you what the minutes say.
I don't really agree. Unless there was something from Shady Grove says that there was not enough pressure there
No.
for fire hydrants. But
Did you ever check with Shady Grove to see if there's enough pressure up there for a fire hydrant?
I thought there was, but now I'm not gonna swear up to that.
Okay.
But that's me. Go up to the 8-inch and we can serve those lots that are on the 8-inch line. And then, the 4-inch on line would be just, you probably put the fire hydrant at the 8-inch line to cover that, but not the 4-inch.
I don't remember talking about fire hydrants. It's sure ain't in the minutes, but she'll bring them in here, unless I misread it.
I just plain don't remember, sir.
But they're flag lights, so how can you,
Well, it don't really make any difference if
but
this
I
is,
can understand if you build a road back through there. I don't,
Well, you can require them anyway.
you can require them, yeah, but I swear I don't know if we did.
I don't
but
know.
what I'm
bring them
saying
in.
is, that this is the final, so
For
far we
27
can sign
months,
the
yeah,
check.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So if we ain't signed the check yet, we can still correct our mistake.
I got you.
After you sign the check, it's hard to do.
It's hard to do it, ain't it? I'm still looking for a check.
Well, you got a big raise being a county
I
employee.
knew that was coming.
Did you?
He ain't never gonna let me live that down. Never.
Well, yeah, all the county employees got a big raise
What
this
kind of
time.
raise? I'm
County
curious.
commission did? We're employees?
I thought you was gonna say that. Newmarket did. Their commission voted themselves $500 bonus.
What you bring that up, mate?
What, to the commission or the Newmarket? I'm still trying to figure out how Newmarket got that deal.
Well, Charlie Gibson called me today and asked me if we got a raise, and I said, no, not in 8 years I've been there, commission.
Oh, commission, no.
Yeah. He thought, I don't know what he thought. I said, I think school board might have got one 2 or 3 years ago.
School board went from 100 to 300.
Yeah, how long
Plus
ago?
taxes. 2 budgets ago.
Okay, I thought that was right.
Well, what happened to planning commission? Well,
They didn't ask. School board asked, and
You
they.
can always come and ask, can't you? Next
Well,
budget
yeah,
meeting.
come on there and
Come on
ask.
and
That'd
ask,
be a good
Terry.
time. We're starting a budget. Just come on and ask.
I
Yeah,
will, I think I'll come in and, I won't say.
don't print
Look at
it.
the average we put in.
Too late.
$100, what do you think? You have any problem with that, Brian?
No, I got a second on that.
Okay. I think we're good. I got 2 votes for commissioner right here, so, I mean, 3, I'm.
Hey, I ain't got a vote on
I
that.
did not vote on that. I want to make that perfectly
I ain't
clear.
vote either.
You're over there on the record, perfectly clear. I didn't vote on that.
Nor did I.
Well, Paul didn't say a word.
I'm trying to figure out exactly what was just said.
He
Well, we're
said,
waiting on minutes right
Terry
now.
said that he had 3 votes from commissioners to raise up the rate of the planning commission to $1,000 a meeting.
Oh,
Oh, my Lord.
man, I didn't hear that. I thought you meant 300.
Well,
What the county get?
well, it just keeps going up. I just thought we just.
Inflation, I guess, is what that is. I've
Well,
heard
they
that on
don't get it,
TV.
we already get it.
What about just a straight 4-figure salary? Well, it's
Well, that
not a
sounds
month.
good too. Oh, at one time.
I got a feeling we ain't
But
getting
now
that.
Newmarket voted themselves $500 bonus.
Wow.
The
For the
council,
council?
yeah.
I think Daniel City, well, that was a year or 2 ago, didn't they vote raises for mayor and council?
See, on the commission, you can't do that. If you vote on the commission, it cannot take effect till after the next election.
Right. And I think that's the way theirs was too, so.
But Newmarket's is not that way. They could do it right then.
Yeah, they listed in that article the, what
Give them Terry.
parameters to do so. Yeah, it's right at the paper, baby.
Was you down there at that meeting, Mr. Steve?
No, that was Mark Brown.
Oh.
Steve can't go to all of them, you see.
I tried.
Stay in there. Stay in there.
We need to fix that.
Something not.
It says maybe it's the road A, you don't see the road A,
Road age.
it's a proposed road.
Maybe that would be in phase 2 instead of phase 1.
Yeah, that's not what you're looking at now, the proposed road.
It doesn't have it in here. Surprises me.
So is that entrance? Is that road age?
That's just the proposed, yeah, I mean, that's not there. That'd be on the second phase.
Yeah, but it says, Mark found it down here where it says, and it does, it says 8-inch water line from Dumpling Valley to Road A. Is that Road A?
That would be the only road that I think that they'll build.
So the 8-inch stops right there.
Okay, well,
All right. I guess we got much choice on that one.
No, we didn't require it during preliminary.
No. All right. So there we have it. It's not in there.
So what are you saying, you can't require it now? If you're breaking this up in phases, it changes.
Well, it depends on when it goes in here to the future development in there as to, on that preliminary plat that was presented, what kind of water line, size water lines you showed in there.
what's it say, did it say anything in there?
No.
I don't know, you can go get the preliminary and let them look at it.
Well, that will be for the next phases. I don't know it's gonna
What
affect
are
this
the dates
phase.
on the minutes?
September.
What?
September. Oh, you got your notes in September?
I mean, what was there in that bid, at least a 6-inch water line, because you'll need it far hydrant up there then, but right now you can put a far hydrant on that 8-inch if you possibly need it to.
Okay. So what we'll have is that all this is developed would have
6.
6, but this will have 4, which means these won't be served by fire hydrants. They won't be big enough for the flow and the pressure. So, all right. I'm trying to. I guess here's my thing. Have these lots changed from what the original preliminary was for the ones up the road?
Not to my knowledge. It's
So-
just, all he's doing is getting the road lots right now.
I understand that. But what I don't know is when we got here, was there another road that went up here that had a water line that comes back.
She'll go get the preliminary, let you look
I
at
don't know. I can't really on the preliminary.
it. She'll go get it.
This is gonna be a lot averaging as well, right? Because
Yeah,
in the whole
yeah.
phases, because the lots on, they're smaller than,
I don't remember if it was a lot averaging or not.
well, it doesn't,
Well, everything in here is, looks pretty right.
okay.
Yeah.
40 or above.
Yeah, it's 40 or above. So that's one. I just wasn't sure about. Excuse me, I can't remember.
Wait,
I'm glad the road going up that hill. Right up through there somewhere.
still have meetings? Hey, are you done?
Coming here, and then that road, certain lots off on the side, didn't even have a 500 feet there.
So I don't know, I can't remember.
See, what's that, now they have on the flag.
You hear what they're doing, they're getting the preliminary map, so. That's yours. Who was? Eddie.
That's exactly what it was. Right here.
So the thing come up through here, and then
But
over.
if you look at this section right here, you already had those flags right there, so that's all he's doing is taking that for this right here. So, that's what we had right there. And you had in here for rotating each water line from East Dumpton Valley Road to Road 8.
And that's Road 8.
So, we've done exactly what was on the route. All right. And this one, maybe it looks like it. The preliminary plat, this is right on it. Okay. All right. So, based on that, everything has proper road frontage, everything has,
Proper lot size, it looks like the building setback lines have been placed 30 feet back where they exceed 100 feet. Got the certificate for the health department. The ownership and dedication, I believe I saw that. Yeah, General King.
okay. So all the proper,
Yeah, I think it's ready to go, Chairman.
okay, all right. Everybody good, understand? We've gone back and looked, and so everything's there. Is what we gave preliminary for, except that they're not, and just doing it in phases. There'll be no questions, I'll open the floor for. I got a proper motion.
I'll second.
And a second. Discussion. Being none, let's vote. All those in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
You can give her those copies too. We got what we need.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Dale. Buy something down there nice if you can.
Here, do you need to sign
Thanks,
these?
Dale, talk to you tomorrow.
Tim, you need to sign these?
Right.
Yeah, I can. Give her anything.
Are you ready, Dave?
Yes, sir.
All right, so next item is to discuss resolutions to revise the goals, objectives, and policies of Jefferson County land use plan.
I got the handout. Somewhere.
Did you get me? Did you get one?
No.
Oh, they called me.
got one?
Get one of these. Did we go get one of these?
What I just handed out?
No, this is something else.
Actually,
Did we get one of these?
Yeah, then I'll show it. Terry, did you pass out that,
I did.
okay. That's just something Clinton Little sent me.
Everybody get
that, somebody did a blog on the lawsuit between us and Clinton, or Sean Wilman. I thought y'all might want to read it. No, I mean, you don't have to read it tonight. That's just something to take on and watch it. Andy Griffin. Griffin.
Oh, it is.
Gomer Pyle.
I guess that means we do what do with that.
It's pretty interesting to see somebody else's point of view.
But when we went to that,
They
training.
brought it up, didn't they?
It was about 2 months ago, whatever, before Christmas, so, yeah, it was brought up by the instructor then,
I think we're well known across the state.
so.
We're famous, that's true.
Not positive that, for the right reasons.
Okay, David, do you want, is this what you want to start? Try to proceed through
Yeah,
tonight?
I think probably the best thing, we've been charged with reviewing and updating the land use plan. And the land use plan is a document that has a lot of background information, a lot of maps showing where the roads are, where the steep sections of the county are, where the different soils classifications are, that sort of thing. Not to mention the fact that it has population projections and information based from the Census Bureau based on, the other characteristics of the population, such as income levels, poverty, number of people per household, that sort of thing, race, etc. Anyway, having said all that, the land use plan section of the document really begins with the stating of assumptions that are based on the findings of those of the earlier parts of the land use plan document, where it has all types of information and that sort of thing. And so I think the best place for us to start as we do this is to start with the assumptions, work our way into the goals, and then the development objectives and policies, which is really what the land use plan is. Starts out broad-based and gets more specific, and when it gets to the planning commission and the county commissions, time to make decisions on things, if this is adopted, this should be what really directs us when making decisions. We've got the different policies for both residential, commercial, industrial, and all types of different land uses. So anyway, it should serve as a guide, and it's something that we really should follow when making decisions based on land use in Jefferson County. So anyway, let's start with the assumptions. Based on the plan that was done 10 years ago, these assumptions, in my opinion, have not really changed much, if any.
They were done 12 years ago, by the way.
12 years ago, okay, thank you. It's 22, isn't it? You have to believe that the Board of County Commissioners and the Planning Commission and other groups and individuals will work towards the development of Jefferson County in cooperation with local, state, and federal agencies. That's kind of an open-ended statement, but you have to believe that everybody will be working together to make Jefferson County a better place. You have to believe also, another assumption number 2 is the Great Smoky Mountains National Park and adjacent tourist destinations in Sevier County will continue to attract tourists to the area in increasingly large numbers. I think we all know that there's been a lot of spillover from Sevier County to Jefferson County. A lot of this has to do with relocation. Anyway. Jefferson County's number 3, Jefferson County's population will continue to grow because of its location near tourist areas, nearness to Knoxville, and good road system, available land, available lake property, low property taxes, and natural scenic beauty.
I want to strike that low property tax. Don't know if everybody agrees to that.
Everybody that moves in here from somewhere else agrees with it.
That's
Pretty
true.
much.
Anyway, those are all attractive qualities, and people are moving here in droves, not just to Jefferson County, but the whole world, the entire world wants to live in East Tennessee. I don't think anybody can contradict that. Number 4, increasing population pressures will create a demand in Jefferson County for additional subdivision developments and housing of all types. I think we see that regularly. Jefferson County will continue to experience commercial growth due to the area's increasing population and traffic at interstate highway interchanges. That's probably not as strong a assumption as
That's all subject to.
yeah.
It
I understand
keeps
that.
getting shut down.
Say what?
I said it keeps getting shut down.
Yeah, I think, well, I remember when this was wrote, we really thought 424 would take off, and the other interchanges would continue to develop because of the increasing traffic on
It's got a big pop spot.
I-40 and all that, and
Yeah, we wouldn't even let a truck stop come in.
that's a whole
Don't get
different
me
story.
started on that.
The sign was too high.
I went back today while we're on that
The sign
subject.
was too high.
I went back and, the rezoning we had on last week, there were 6 votes against it. So I went back 15 years and see how many industrial properties we rezoned and how many commercial. We rezoned 11 industrial or is it 7? 7 industrial, which was all, except for one spot at Bush's, all railroad, all empty today. 27 commercial properties we rezoned, and 11 or 12 of them are empty today. And
Say that again,
27 commercial properties we had rezoned in the last 15 years. And of those 27, 11 still sits empty today. And of the others, businesses on there are more like storage buildings, stuff like that, nothing that would have over 2 or 3 workers.
That generates sales tax.
That generate sales tax, yeah. So that's why I made that little speech, John Neal helped me at the county commission meeting. We can't keep running these businesses out of the county. You know, houses, and John Neal can tell you more about it, they don't pay for themselves. So, you know, thank God they listened to me the other night, and it passed 12 to 6. But and that was a simple one. I mean, I thought that was a no-brainer down there, as you and John Neal both all did. But it just, I don't know, bothers me that this keeps going on. And I don't know how we change that with the land use program either. You know, Michael Fagan just contacted me and Terry both wanting us to come to this long-range planning thing they have, or whatever they call it. And I said, well, I don't mind to come, but you ain't gonna like what I say.
Well, let me ask you this, just so I'm clear about this. Is the authority based on Tennessee Code Annotated, is that not that authority for long-range planning not vested in this board?
It is vested in this board.
And
It's
this board,
it's the duty and function of the planning commission to come up with a plan for the development of the community. It says that in state law. That's almost a direct
so
quote.
this long-range planning thing that's been put together,
Is a suggestion.
all they can do is come and give a suggestion to this board.
Well,
Is
they have
that,
no real authority, but you know, we should welcome, I think, input as we go forward.
what I'm asking is the sole authority on that is vested in this board.
Yes, that's correct.
And the reason I'm asking is because if it comes before the commission, and it's an expenditure, I want to know, is it something that's already, if we're going to replicate the wheel? Because if it's already vested in this board.
Something he's trying to get I'll know more about it if we go to the meeting, a grant.
And by the way, I was gonna get to that. Everybody on this planning commission is invited to that meeting.
Yeah.
It's just that it's 9 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday, the 8th of February. So I had that to,
Yeah.
is it here? It's here.
Okay.
So,
And there's only, 4 county commissioners on that board?
I don't know, who all's on?
I think it's Fagan, Katie, and Jim Snodgrass, and Randy Bailey. I think that's all.
Is that the total board?
I think that's what, the committee, it's just.
Total
me.
committee.
Yeah.
What were those names again?
Katie Huffaker, Jim, Randy Bales, Jim Snodgrass, and Michael Fagan.
I think there's some
Is there somebody else? No, and maybe maybe the mayor, but I don't know if there's a citizen though.
Surely it'd be an odd number. That's be an
Well, I may be, there may be another one I'm missing. You know?
No, I had no idea. I thought that they.
You been to that, Steve?
4 commissioners and.
Was there another?
Citizens.
one that wasn't there,
One that wasn't there? Well, they didn't put me and John Neal and Paul on there, that's for sure.
let's try to go on, David. We'll,
Okay.
at the end.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't.
I will say this, that the county is free to hire, to have a land use plan prepared by a professional company or professional planner or somebody of that sort. But the planning commission really needs to adopt the plan, and the county commission really should adopt the plan as well. I don't remember exactly what the
Do we
state
not
law.
pay you?
What?
Do we not pay
You
you?
do pay me.
Okay, that's what I just need.
But I mean, like, there are, from time to time, I've heard of places that have hired it done.
So basically what you have is, if that's the case, then whatever their determination they make, it's a one-person input, the way I look at it. Is that not correct?
That would be correct.
Okay.
What, that committee?
No, what David just said, if you hire
Oh, yeah.
somebody to do your long-range plan, then what you have is that you have, that's the input that you
Yeah.
get is from that one individual.
John,
A lot of times they will hold public meetings and they will involve the planning commission, they will involve the county commission. I do know that to be true.
Okay.
And, I mean, it can involve as much as they feel necessary, as much as the locals feel is necessary. Those kind of companies charge a lot of money and they put together a slick document. You know, one that's, really slick, attractive.
I've
But,
seen slick documents.
I'm not trying to sell you on it, I'm just saying what happens in reality.
I've looked for a slick document.
You can't eat pretty.
Okay, let's go on.
Okay. I guess number 6 is not really all that true. Number 7, Jefferson County's labor force and need for additional job opportunities will continue to increase as the population grows and the percentage of the women in the labor force increases. Women in the labor force has increased over the decades quite a bit. Number 8, Jefferson County will continue to implement land use policies and controls to help guide growth and prevent the county from developing an inefficient, sporadic, and environmentally unsound way. We've all tried to do that. We know that that's a difficult undertaking. In keeping with the, you know, if you have any, if you disagree with any of those, you don't have to tell me now. If you have additional ones that you think might be appropriate, I'd be glad to hear them at any time.
On number 8, so we come up with policies and controls and we've sat down and we looked at, so one of the things that we came into was urban growth boundaries. And we said, okay, anything inside this urban growth boundary here, we feel comfortable with development coming in there. All right, but anything outside the growth boundary there, basically what we've done is we put stipulations in, is maybe to expand the lot sizes and different things because we're saying maybe the infrastructure's not good or this, that, whatever, okay? And I remember when I first came on and I saw it and I've looked at this thing, I really never thought it was fair because it was an arbitrary line that was drawn down through there. And as a taxpayer in Jefferson County, if I was a property owner, I would feel slighted because somebody decided to arbitrarily put that line here. I was on this side and the other guy's on the other side. And I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, well, you know, I'd like to subdivide my property and get the most out of it. Well, you're under a different set of guidelines because you're on the opposite side of the line. I've never thought that was fair.
But it happens too.
It happens, but I'm just saying an arbitrary line in trying to determine there as to control growth to a certain extent, I just don't think it's fair.
Technically, it's not supposed to be an arbitrary line. You know, the urban growth boundaries are part of the overall county growth plan.
They are.
That was established in, I think, 1994. I remember that's when they were first done.
Yes.
And the whole idea behind was that to designate areas that might eventually be annexed by municipalities, areas that are ripe for growth due to roads, utilities.
And I understand that.
Right. And the areas that were not in the city or an urban growth boundary would be one of two things. A planned growth area, like let's say, we designated the interchanges as planned growth areas because those areas we felt were ripe for development, commercial, if you will. And those were areas that really infrastructure should be geared towards, you know, to help that happen, you know, that kind of thing. And then the rest of the county was supposed to fall into a rural area.
Yes.
And the rural areas were supposed to be areas where there was less density, smaller types of commercial developments, not, you know, big highway commercial developments. And the way the state law read on that county growth plan law was after the plan is adopted, land use decisions are supposed to be made in accordance with the plan. And that's why you heard me say it's in the rural area, it's not in the urban growth boundary. It really shouldn't be zoned as R1.
But we have the, but
We've stepped beyond that in certain instances, yes.
okay, but we've also inherited that when zoning came into play. Because basically, we've had developments in different types of zones that was outside this growth boundary that was there, okay? So they existed already, all right? So, and so we have, you know, and there are various zones, you know, it's either A1, I1, we got R1 in certain areas that are outside of the growth boundary. Some of it was in commercial.
Then R2, way out.
Way out there, okay? But then we put in the A1 zone there, which is big and broad as far as it goes. But what gets me is that when I first came in here, the thing is that if you were on this side of the growth boundary line and you came in and asked for your property to be rezoned to R1, according to that, you couldn't get it. But the guy right across the road from you, he could get it. That just didn't seem fair to me on that, because an arbitrary line that was drawn for this growth boundary dictated basically you know, to me it was almost like a take. So he can do this, but I'm on the side of the road and I can't.
Well, unless your property touches on it.
Well, yeah, I know.
I mean, that's happened.
I know.
Outside.
But what you're saying is it was basically fairly arbitrary.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, I was never comfortable with that. I just
Right,
didn't think
and it wasn't done
fair.
by the planning commission. It wasn't even done by well, it was adopted by legislative bodies, but it was done by the county growth committee, which was the chairman and all the mayor, I mean, the mayor of Jefferson County and all the mayors of the cities and designated people of that sort.
That's true, I understand that. But then there's also the zoning designation that tended to go along with that. See, what I'm getting is the zoning designation that went along with it. Okay, you're outside the growth boundary, so you're more rural. But you cross the road, well, no, you're not as rural. I struggle with that, I still do today.
But I don't know how you change it.
I know, but I'm just saying,
Yeah, I know.
but we have made a lot of decisions on whether or not to recommend property to be rezoned to a higher density based upon that fact. And which you said, basically, the state says that once we adopt that, we're supposed to follow it. Then that's why the last meeting I asked you this question. We as a planning commission, we adopt that, which says that we're going to follow it, okay? The thing is that we don't rezone property. We make a recommendation. So we submit this to the county commission. They look at it. It's a good plan. They don't have to adopt it. They can send it back to us. We've adopted it. We have to follow it, but they don't. So they're not in violation of state law if they rezone property outside the growth boundary, are they not? Because they didn't adopt the plan.
I guess not.
Do it all done.
So that's why I'm saying, if I was a county commissioner, why would I clamp my wrist down or bind me down on something when I may see different than what the planning commission did? And I'm just saying that the land use policies that we've gone by, which was part of the helping to deter growth, was the growth boundary, and then us coming up with the land plan saying, yes, everything out of this, you know.
I think the county commission or the city, well, the county commissioners, I think they're supposed to go by this because it just says, as I recall in the state law, that all land use decisions shall be.
If they adopt it though. If they don't adopt the plan,
Well,
which
no,
we present.
Yeah, but they do adopt it because it goes.
They
on too
don't, but
long.
you don't have to adopt it.
No.
You don't. Now, once we do, we're bound by it.
You're talking about the land use plan or the county, you're talking about the land use plan, not the county growth plan, right?
Yes.
Okay.
The land use plan, basically, if we adopt it, and the county that does not adopt it, then they are not held by that. They are not bound by it because they didn't adopt it.
Well, I wasn't on 10, 12 years ago, but I think they adopted the land use program
They
12
did.
years ago.
Well, they could, but
Yeah,
I'm
they
just
did.
saying.
They did.
So what we're saying is this, is that we look at our plan and we make a recommendation for zoning outside of the growth boundary, okay? So that recommendation outside the growth boundary then goes basically to county commission. They have a choice of either accepting our recommendation or not accepting our recommendation, okay? So if our recommendation was based on growth plan, and they say, we don't like that, we want to go ahead and do it, then there's no violation of state law then?
I don't think so.
I'm just asking.
I think there probably is, but I don't think it's anything that would ever be challenged in court
Okay.
necessarily.
So how is it a violation if they don't adopt the plan?
It's not. It's not. It's not. That's
Well,
why
I guess
It's
if they
only a
have-
violation if they adopt the plan.
Well, I believe they adopted the land.
They
They
have-
did, but I'm saying when we're doing it now,
Yeah.
when we come in here with this thing, we're required by law to adopt one. Is that correct?
Prepare a plan. I don't think there's anything in state law that says you have to adopt a land use plan. Not like Florida requires. I know that because I have a friend who works in Florida.
Okay,
And
so-
every decision has to be made in accordance with that land use plan in Florida. We don't have that in Tennessee.
So
It's
if-
a guide. It's just a guide.
I understand. So let's play this out. Why are we here working on it rather than just rubber stamping the old one and walking on? Hey, we've prepared one. We changed the dates on this. Why are we working on this if we're not required to adopt it?
Why don't you tell him that, Tim?
Tell who, the mayor?
Give John Neal the answer to that.
From the get-go, I thought we just rubber stamped it to 2020 or 30.
That's what
But why are
I'm
we
asking.
here? Because we
No, I mean,
have.
Well, we got challenged the mayor.
I understand, but what I'm asking is, are we required as a planning commission to adopt a land use plan? Or
I
are we
don't
just
believe so.
required to
I think it
develop
says Shall
one?
prepare.
So you prepare it, but you don't adopt it?
Well,
And use it as a guide. I mean, to
pretty
to
sure
be a
the
guide
plan
for
was
development.
adopted in 2010 too.
They did.
Yeah.
They did, and the commission adopted it.
Right.